What's going on, YouTube universe? This is Ricky coming back with another video. So I think the last time we talked about Daniel Mannix and his sick and sadistic book, Those About to Die. And as I did some research on him on the internet, I found the name was linked to the Occult as well, and then the Occult was also linked to a man by the name of Johannes Greber. And so I saw some websites that I wasn't comfortable clicking in. They were spiritistic and occult websites, so I just read some of their descriptions on these websites, and one of them said, "We thank Jehovah's Witnesses for championing our occult Bible." And when I saw that, my eyes were just like, whoa, what in the world is going on? And so I decided to go into my Watchtower library CD. You may, Jehovah's Witnesses, y'all may know that. So I typed in the name Johannes Greber, and I found some disturbing information on him. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society lied about the use of spiritistic material to support their teachings. They lied about when they knew about this guy. So if you can do some research on this man. Johannes Greber was a Catholic priest, German descent, and when he was in Germany in the early 1900s, there was a lot of demon possession going on in his small town, and being the priest, people started looking to him to expel these demons. And he was kind of reluctant at first, but finally he realized that, hey, I'm the priest of the town, and I need to step up and do something. So he met a young teenager, I guess you can say, a young boy who would become possessed, and this demon would tell spiritual truths. And so finally he went to one of these seances, and the demon started saying all these spiritual things, that Christianity was rotten and messed up, and it was time for Christianity to get where it needs to be, and he was going to reveal all of these spiritual truths to Johannes Greber. And so he starts having these seances with this little boy that gets possessed by demons, and he starts communicating with these demons through this boy. So eventually he moves to the United States, and he goes to New York. At this point, somewhere in his life, his wife becomes a spirit medium, and he ends up writing 2 books. One of them was entitled Communication with the Spirit World, and then he also wrote his own translation of the Bible entitled The New Testament, a new translation based on the oldest manuscripts. And he used his wife, being a spirit medium, to translate for him. And so basically this was an occult Bible. He used demons to translate it for him, because according to this demon, Christianity had everything wrong, and so now it was time to let the light shine. And so he used his wife to make this occult Bible. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses have always had a hard time with their translation of John 1:1. In the beginning the Word was, and the Word was a God. Scholars do not support Jehovah's Witness version of that verse of the Bible. And so where could they look to get support of that? Well, none other than Mr. Greber. So here's the first article in the chronological timeline of their use of Johannes Greber. And the majority of this is based on what I could find in the Watchtower library CD. There are numerous other books that aren't listed on there that he may be used in, and if you know of some of those books, please post them in your comments. That way we can make everything aware, put everything out in the open about what's going on with the Watchtower and their spiritistic and occult ties. So the first one is the October 1st, 1955 Watchtower, page 603, paragraph 33. And it's under the part 3, what do the scriptures say about the survival of death? And I'm going to read what that Watchtower says. Is such official Catholic teaching as the above an impenetrable defense against the invasion of Spiritism? No. It is an invitation to Spiritism, and the conditions in Roman Catholic lands such as Peru, Costa Rica, Cuba, and Haiti show Roman Catholicism to be no bulwark against this spreading peril. In such lands, the Catholic people, even up to 90%, mix Spiritism or Voodooism right with Roman Catholicism, practicing both at the same time with no objection or penalty by the priests. Go figure. It comes as no surprise that one Johannes Greber, a former Catholic clergyman, has become a spiritualist and has published the book entitled Communication with the Spirit World, Its Laws and Its Purposes, printed in 1932 by McCoy Publishing Company in New York. Its foreword makes the typical misstatements. The most significant spiritualistic book is the Bible, for its principal contents hinge upon the message of the beyond to those existing in the present. So this was in 1955. They knew who he was. He was a spiritualist, and that he even wrote a book on how to communicate properly with the spirit world. And that was in October of 55. So February 15th, 1956. October, November, December, January, February. That's just not even half a year. They expose him even further. February 15th, 1956 Watchtower, pages 110 and 111, paragraphs 10 and 11 under triumphing over wicked spirit forces. You got to bear with me. I can't read too well without my glasses. Says Johannes Greber in the introduction of his translation of the New Testament, copyrighted in 1937. I myself was a Catholic priest until I was 48 years old, had never as much believed in the possibility of communicating with the world of God's spirits. The day came, however, when I involuntarily took my first step towards such communication, and experienced things that shook me to the depths of my soul. That was his experience in Germany. My experiences are related in a book that has appeared in both German and English and bears the title Communication with the Spirit World, Its Laws and Its Purposes, page 15, paragraphs 2 and 3. In keeping with his Roman Catholic extraction, Greber's translation is bound with a gold leaf cross on its stiff front cover. In the foreword of his aforementioned book, ex-priest Greber says, the most significant spiritualistic book is the Bible. Under this impression, Greber endeavors to make his New Testament translation read very spiritualistic. Spiritualism spiritualism claims that there are good spirits and bad spirits, and that it does not want to have anything to do with the bad spirits, but tries to communicate only with the good spirits. At 1 John chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, the Bible says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth that not Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now it is already in the world." Greber's translation of these verses reads, "My dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to learn whether they come from God. For many false spirits have emerged from the abyss and gone out into the world, and are speaking through human mediums. This is how you can find out whether a spirit comes from God. Every spirit who confesses that Jesus Christ appeared on earth as man comes from God, while the spirit who seeks to destroy belief in Jesus as our Lord incarnated does not come from God, but is sent by the adversary of Christ. You have been told that such spirits would come, and they are already appearing in the world. Very plainly, the spirits in which ex-priest Greber believed help him. Very plainly, the spirits in which ex-priest Greber believes helped him in his translation. So now, two articles, 1955, 1956, 6 months apart, exposes and condemns Greber. The next mention that the Watchtower has is of the September 15th, 1962 Watchtower, page 554, paragraph 5, under the subheading, "The Word, who is He, according to John." And that paragraph says, "But the most controversial of all is the following reading of John chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, which reads, 'The Word was in the beginning, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. This Word was in the beginning with God.' This reading is found in the New Testament in an improvised version, published in London, England in 1808. Similar is the reading by a former Roman Catholic priest, quote, 'In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. This was the God in the beginning. This was with the God in the beginning. Everything came into being through the Word, and without it nothing created sprang into existence.' But the kicker is there's a footnote that you have to find out who this Roman Catholic priest is. Teeny tiny little bitty footnote. Footnote says, "The New Testament, a new translation and explanation based on the oldest manuscripts by Johannes Greber, a translation from German into English, edition in 1937, the front cover of this bound translation being stamped with a golden cross." So now they went from condemning him to using him in support of John 1:1. And we are looking at how many years apart? From 56 to 62. So about 6 years. And they start quoting from him in a little bitty footnote. Then they continue in the Aid to Bible Understanding. I've got this book here. You may remember this baby blue book. This is in my collection. And he's mentioned twice. This book was published in 1969. He's mentioned on page 1134 under the subheading "Tombs Opened at Jesus' Death." The translation by Johannes Greber in 1937 of these verses reads as follows: "The tombs were laid open, and many bodies of those buried were tossed upright. In this posture, they projected from the graves and were seen by many who passed by the place on their way back to the city. So again, they're using Johannes Greber in support of that when Jesus Christ died and those bodies came out of the tomb, there was not a literal resurrection. They were seen by many people because their tombs were exposed. Also on page 669 under the subheading, The Word, it reads, a translation by a former Catholic priest, Johannes Greber, the 1937 edition, renders the second appearance of the word God in the sentence of John 1:1 as a God. So now again we have two more references of Johannes Greber in support of the Watchtower teaching of there in Matthew and John 1:1. The next one I found was the Watchtower, October 15th, 1975, page 640, under the questions from readers. And that says, without wrestling the Greek grammar, a translator can render Matthew chapter 27 verses 52 and 53 in a way that suggests that a similar exposing of corpses resulted from the earthquake occurring at Jesus' death. Thus, the translation by Johannes Greber in 1937 renders these verses as is, quote, tombs were laid open, and many bodies of those buried were tossed upright. In this posture, they were projected from the graves and were seen by many who passed by the place on their way back to the city. Now check this out. It even says compare. Can you get that? They want you to compare the New World Translation Jehovah's Witness Bible to the Occult Johannes Greber Bible. Well, they've got some big balls to tell their readers to compare their holy Bible to a spiritistic occult Bible. Oh boy. It gets better. Trust me, it does get better. The next one is the Watchtower, April 15th, 1976. Page 231 under the topic Insight on the News. And there's a little subheading under that article, Event Clarifies Bible. And it says, the recent Guatemalan earthquake affected even some of those already dead. Time magazine reports that several mourners who went to bury their dead in family plots found that the coffins of long-dead relatives had been uncovered by the quake. Something similar occurred during an earthquake in the Jerusalem area at Jesus' death. At that time, dead bodies were customarily placed in vaults or chambers cut from Palestine's soft limestone rock, often in hillsides. A report in the Bible, as translated by Johannes Greber, says that when Jesus died, the earth quaked and the rocks were shattered. Tombs were opened, and many bodies of those buried were tossed upright. In this posture they projected from the graves and were seen by many who passed by the place on their way back to the city. Hence, rather than a resurrection, as some Bible translations imply, there appears to have been merely an exposure of the dead to observers, as in Guatemala. So that was the last instance that I could find that Johannes Greber was used from in 1976. The next one is from 1983, so about 7 years have elapsed. No references to Johannes Greber, and someone kind of picks up on that. Hey, how come they're not using this spiritistic guy anymore? I think I should write the Watchtower. And that's what he did. Or she did. The Watchtower, April 1st, 1983, page 31. Questions from readers. Question: why in recent years has the Watchtower not made use of the translation by the former Catholic priest Johannes Greber? We haven't heard from him in 7 years. What's going on, Watchtower? Answer: this translation was used occasionally in support of renderings of Matthew 27 verse 52 and 53 and John chapter 1 verse 1, as given in the New World Translation and other authoritative Bible versions. But as indicated in a foreword to the 1980 edition of the New Testament by Johannes Greber, this translation relied on God's spirit world to clarify for him how he should translate difficult passages. The foreword stated, his wife, a medium of God's spirit world, was often instrumental in conveying the correct answers from God's messengers to Pastor Greber. The Watchtower has deemed it improper to make use of a translation that has such a close rapport with Spiritism. The scholarship that forms the basis for the renderings of the above-cited text in the New World Translation is sound, and for this reason does not depend at all on Greber's translation for authority. Nothing is lost, therefore, by ceasing to use Greber's New Testament. Wow. They were caught in a lie. Their hand was caught in the occult cookie jar, and they took it out really quick, and they sounded like a little kid making an excuse to his parents. I only got one cookie. No. They didn't just barely realize until his new revision came out in 1980 what kind of Bible this was. They knew all the way back in 1955. Liars, liars, liars. Liar, liar, pants on fire in Gehenna. Pun intended. So, when you read all these articles, Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're watching this, when did the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society really know exactly what kind of person Johannes Greber was? If you want to know, go into your Watchtower Library CD. I know you've got one. Just type in Greber, Greber, Greber. Hit enter, and you can get everything I've got here, except for the Aid to Bible Understanding. That's not on the Watchtower Library CD. But if you have one in your library or your Kingdom Hall, you can check those pages. Be my guest. So is it okay to be reading from a book about communication with the spirit world, or have them in your possession in the first place? And more importantly, did the Watchtower stop quoting from this book? Well, did they stop quoting from Johannes Greber? The story doesn't end there, friends. That's just in English. We're going to go into Spanish. And this is where it gets a little juicy, as I told one of you in my post on my last one. You see this here? Watchtower Library 2013 Espanol. I've got the disc here in case you don't believe me. Espanol. You type in Johannes Greber and you only have 2 instances of Johannes Greber on that CD instead of the 6 that are in English. You go to that 1980 questions from reader where their hand was caught in the cookie jar and they lied. That is not even translated into Spanish. The whole magazine is translated except for that questions from readers. Sounds kind of fishy to me. I wonder how many other languages they didn't translate this. As a matter of fact, they translated a whole other different questions from readers. So if you have a Spanish library CD, Jehovah's Witnesses, you can look and gather this information yourself, and you can verify. As Jesus said, truly I tell you the truth. I'm not lying to you, Jehovah's Witnesses, and whoever else is watching this. they did not translate this Questions from Readers into Spanish, and who God knows how many other languages they didn't translate this. But it doesn't end there. Remember that baby blue book, Aid to Bible Understanding? They printed that in Spanish, and they printed that in 1987. And we're going to show some pages here on my iPad if I can get some clear pictures here. You see that there? Ayuda para entender la Biblia. Spanish. Now, let me... Alright, see here. Sorry, bear with me. Publicado en inglés in 1971. Published in English, 1971. Publicado en español, what date? 1987. 4 years after they got caught, this book is translated. Look on page 1258. Sorry, it's a little dark, but you can see there Johannes Greber right in the middle of that second sentence. They continue to use him for John 1:1. I don't know how many other languages also, it begs the question, how many other languages the Aid to Bible Understanding was published after 1983. I'm willing to bet it wasn't just Spanish. So please, I need your help. Other languages, if you got those books, those Watchtower Library CDs, please look at that information and post it on the comments. We need to expose this sick, demonic religion. And I wish that it ended there, but the story gets even more juicy. This was not the only time Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower, has dabbled in the occult. And my next video is going to go into the very beginnings. Charlie Russell and his occult ties. So I appreciate this video. If you don't have those publications, please go to the About section on my channel and email me or give me a text message. My information is listed on the About section, and I'll send you a link to my Dropbox. And I've got all these articles, and I'm working on getting a link so that way you, my dear friends, can have access to this cherished Watchtower Library CD 2013. I want to make this available to everyone that wants it, that's not one of Jehovah's Witnesses currently. So again, look at my About page. You can contact me via email or cell phone and just request that you want access. I got a lot of Watchtowers from 1879 all the way until the Watchtower Library CD stops in 1950. I've got the Golden Ages, the Golden Age, the Consolation, the Awakes. I've got all the books by Charlie Russell, by Joey Rutherford. I've got all of them. So if you want it, I got it, and I'm ready to give it out if you want it. And there are a lot of other websites out there. If you want a book, really, you can just type up the book and you can download it from somewhere. That's fine also. But I'm giving this stuff out for free. I've got a lot combined into one place because some places only have some stuff. You got to go to several different places, and this is a compilation of many different several websites that I've come across here in the last few months. So YouTubers, I hope you appreciated this. I said it was going to be juicy, and I hope it was. I hope I didn't let you down. So if you like it, give me a thumbs up, and I definitely want to hear from your comments. and we'll see you on the next video about Charlie Taze Russell and his involvement with Spiritism and the occult. Ooh. Okay, this one's over. You can go.